Welcome to the second webinar in the series from Mental Health Week. Thank you so much for joining us again today. You can find yesterday's webinar on our YouTube channel in the coming days, and we hope that you will join me tomorrow when I present with the Manager of Return to Work Program Services on the intersection of return to work and psychological health and safety. We are going to be building off of our webinar from yesterday and expanding on psychological health and safety and the intersection of workplace culture. I will be presenting today with Mike Poker-Zelig, a certified safety and health consultant who works as a prevention consultant at Safe Work Manitoba. My name is Jennifer Dick. I'm a certified occupational health nurse and work as a prevention consultant at Safe Work Manitoba. We hope you enjoyed the webinar from yesterday. Let's get started. So we have a short disclaimer for you today. This presentation is not a substitute for legal or health advice and should not be relied on as such. Viewers should seek your own legal and health advice and/or follow workplace procedures. Good faith efforts have been made to ensure the information is up to date. Here is our agenda for the day. Today, we'll expand on psychological health and safety and the intersection with workplace culture. We hope that you'll leave here with some critical information about why it's important to not only build out your psychological health and safety management program, but to understand that this impacts the culture at your workplace. Yesterday, we spent some time reviewing the CSA standard and provided some examples of how workplaces can address some of those psychosocial factors. Today, I want to give you some more background on this. I want to take a moment to let you know about a document that we hope has significant meaning across Manitoba workplaces. Safe Work Manitoba and our partners believe in the importance of psychological health and safety at your workplace so much that we collaborated to build a strategy to include this. Partners across industries in Manitoba, as well as Safe Work Manitoba, met to discuss and develop several goals and tactics that reflect the priorities to Manitoba workplaces. And these goals are to really enhance partnerships and really increase capacity to support psychologically healthy and safe workplaces. We want to look to increasing awareness and training for all Manitobans. We want to look to promoting the implementation of the national standard. And finally, building positive workplace cultures. And as you can see, building positive workplace cultures is what we want to talk to you about today. So in today's webinar, we're going to share with you information about psychological health and safety and building a culture around this. If we use WorkSafe Saskatchewan's definition, they do a great job of defining the difference between psychological health and psychological safety. Psychological health is about our ability to think, our ability to communicate, how we feel emotions and thoughts, how we behave. Do we shut down? Do we walk away? Psychological health is about how we think, feel, and behave at home, at work, and in our community. Psychological health often occurs on a spectrum, which we often see referred to as flourishing or languishing, or healthy or unwell, or somewhere in the middle. Alternatively, if we look at psychological safety or the risk of injury to our psychological well-being, this is really about prevention of injury to an employee's psychological health, addressing those psychosocial factors that might impact a worker's mental health. And we talked about this at length yesterday. And if we will recall the 13 psychosocial factors: psychological support, organizational culture, clear leadership and expectations, civility and respect, psychological job fit, growth and development, recognition and reward, involvement and influence, workload management, engagement, balance, psychological protection, physical protection, and finally, other chronic stressors as identified by workers. And as you heard yesterday, these psychosocial factors are integral to the standard and can really help to foster psychologically healthy and safe workplaces. Yesterday, we also told you that 1 in 5 Canadians will experience a mental health concern, and that's 20% of Canadians. So we know that mental health is important as our physical health. Mental health, as defined in the CSA standard, is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. When we talk about psychological health at work, we sometimes hear you have to take care of your own health too. But I challenge you to consider another way of thinking about psychological health and safety at work. And if we look to the CSA group to describe psychological health at work, they suggest that while our health primarily is our own responsibility, the workplace can and does play a significant role in our ability to manage both our physical and psychological health. The workplace can play a role in helping or hindering our psychological well-being. And what's really key here is that the workplaces can play a role of being supportive of someone's psychological health. And we talked at length yesterday about the standard. And today, although this is an important piece of any workplace, our focus is going to be on building strong workplace culture. The CSA standard can help us get there. The standard, as it is often referred to as, is a guide. It's a guide to building a system of psychological health and safety in the workplace. And there are several steps to building a psychological health and safety management program, and we talked about those yesterday. And what's important to note is that building a psychological health and safety management system is something workplaces will do over several years. It really is, in essence, a culture change, a shift in making sure that psychological health and safety is incorporated into everything a workplace does. Whether a policy, a program, or activity, it's about bringing an awareness and change to how business is done. It's also important to note that when we talk about building a psychological health and safety management system, that this also includes having a bullying and violence and harassment-free workplace, one where every worker feels physically and psychologically safe. The CSA standard helps to provide the framework, but if we turn to the Mental Health Commission of Canada, we also see that psychological health and safety is about making sure we're not only building it into the culture, but creating psychologically healthy and safe spaces that promote positive culture and staff well-being, that really look to prevent stigma and discrimination. It builds that into the workplace culture, where the workplace contributes to a productive and positive working environment, one where everyone feels psychologically safe at work. Mike, how can we build a strong, positive culture where psychological health and safety is addressed?
Thanks, Jen. To build a strong, positive workplace culture where psychological health and safety is addressed, we first need to create a workplace of kindness, free of violence, harassment, and bullying. When we see an organization who gives employees a voice in a decision, we see a culture grow. When we see workplaces create a space where stigma is eliminated, employees feel safe to reach out for help. As you can see, psychological health and safety and culture work together. So what is safety culture? Defined, a strong safety culture exists when a set of shared values and beliefs about workplace safety and health influences actions and drives practices for preventing workplace injuries and illness. A strong safety culture in Manitoba will help ensure a strong and sustained emphasis on psychological safety and health for generations to come. At Safe Work Manitoba, we believe that making safety and health a core component of an organization's and society's culture will help prevent injuries for a lifetime. When we talk about a set of shared values and beliefs around a strong safety culture, what do we exactly mean? Well, when a strong safety culture exists within a workplace, the following values and beliefs are exhibited. Values, meaning what we consider important, include people expect safety and health in the workplace. People in the workplace are our most valuable resource. Safety and health is valued with productivity, quality, and pay. When we look at beliefs, meaning how we achieve our values, these include workplace injuries and illnesses can be prevented. Leaders drive improvement, and we all play a part in building healthy and safe workplaces. These values and beliefs make up the standard for a strong safety culture. As we can see in this table, the values and beliefs of a strong safety culture strongly relate to the 13 psychosocial factors found in the Psychological Health and Safety CSA standard. For example, when we look at the value, people expect safety and health in the workplace. It can be thought of as tying into organizational culture, where the environment is characterized by trust, honesty, and respect. Psychological support, where a workplace supports and responds appropriately to mental and psychological health concerns. And engagement, where workers enjoy and feel connected to their work and are motivated to do a good job. When we look at people in the workplace are our most valuable resource, we can see this relating to civility and respect, where employees are respectful and considerate with one another. Growth and development, where employees are encouraged and supported in the development of interpersonal, emotional, and job skills. And recognition and reward, where employees are recognized and appreciated for their efforts in a fair and timely manner. And finally, when we look at safety and health is valued with productivity, quality, and pay, we can see this relating to workload management, where tasks and responsibilities can be accomplished successfully within the time available, and balance, where management recognizes and supports the balance between the demands of work and one's family and personal life. We can also see some of the psychosocial factors relating to beliefs of a strong safety culture. These include workplace injuries and illnesses can be prevented. This can be thought of as relating to psychological protection and physical safety, where an organization's psychological and physical safety is ensured and protected. For leaders to drive improvement, this requires clear leadership and expectations, where effective leadership exists and enables individuals to know what to do, how their work contributes to the goals of the organization, and if change is approaching. And finally, we all play a part in building healthy and safe workplaces. This includes involvement and influence, where employees are included in discussions about how work is done, how decisions are made, and the impact of those decisions on work. And psychological competencies and requirements. An employee's interpersonal or emotional competencies and the job skills are appropriate for their position. So when we dive deeper into safety culture, we see that it's an umbrella term, and it's driven by both workplace culture and safety culture of the community. The community sets out the expectations for safety and health, and this sets the standard workplaces are expected to meet. This has been a major driver for the evolution of psychological health and safety in the workplace. Many years ago, psychological health and safety was not front of mind. However, over time, the attitude towards psychological health and safety in the community has changed, making psychological health and safety a priority in the workplace. This driving force eventually led to Canada becoming the leader in psychological health and safety when they were the first country to develop and create a psychological health and safety standard. So to determine if your workplace is exhibiting a strong safety culture, we can take the values and beliefs that we just covered and represent them as 6 measurable dimensions. These dimensions help us organize how we understand whether a strong safety culture exists within a workplace. When it comes to psychological health and safety and a strong safety culture within the workplace, a workplace typically presents all 6 of these dimensions. So with the first dimension, this includes safety and health hazards and concerns are addressed. Here, the organization identifies, evaluates, and promptly addresses psychological health and safety hazards and workers' concerns that are brought forward. Next, we have leaders demonstrate a commitment to safety and health. Safety and health starts at the top. Organizations that demonstrate this dimension have leaders that talk the talk and walk the walk. Their leaders prioritize psychological health and safety through their actions. For instance, commitment to allocating resources, communicating, and making decisions in a way that demonstrates safety and health is prioritized equally with production and quality. Next, we have trust and respect saturate the work environment. Communication is open and reflects an environment in which trust, fairness, and respect matter in daily interactions. Workers are expected to question occupational health and safety and work practices as part of everyday conversations without fear of negative actions. Next, we have each person in the organization is personally invested and accountable for safety and health. Workers know that their psychological health and safety and the psychological health and safety of their coworkers is a priority. Next is the work environment is inclusive, regardless of role or background. All workers matter, and there is a commitment to reach out to all workers to participate and be involved in psychological health and safety. Diversity is welcomed and is seen as an asset. And for our last dimension, we have continuous learning is a feature of the organization. An inquiring attitude permeates the workplace. Opportunities to learn about new or improved ways to ensure psychological health and safety are sought out and implemented. For a Manitoba workplace to have a strong workplace safety culture where psychological health and safety is a priority, the province must also have strong community safety culture around psychological health and safety. For this to exist, these 4 dimensions must be met. Safety and health is embedded in educational institutions. A commitment to support learning about occupational safety and health exists within institutions, both with and without designated responsibility for health and safety in Manitoba. Learning about occupational health and safety and psychological health and safety does not start when a person enters the workforce. It's a lifelong process. Next, we have the public demands workplace safety and health as a community norm. People within the community expect that workplaces and workers who engage in a positive workplace health and safety practices, including psychological health and safety, are rewarded, and those that do not are encouraged to make efforts to adopt safer practices. Parents educate their children about health and safety and act as role models for safe work practices. Next, we have provincial leaders support and invest in safety and health. Leaders throughout the province support providing safety and health services and psychological health and safety initiatives, resources, and training that are accessible to all workplaces and workers. And lastly, we have laws and standards are innovative and enforced. Laws and standards are progressive and support quality workplace safety and health programs. In addition, enforcement is effective and has an impact. An example of a shift in culture driven by the community is seatbelt use when driving a vehicle. There was a time where using a seatbelt was not front of mind. Nowadays, wearing a seatbelt has become unconscious behavior. You just put it on when you enter a vehicle. Safe driving laws and standards were innovative and enforced. Seatbelt use was embedded in educational institutions, and this resulted in a culture shift, which has made driving a vehicle much safer. This culture shift took many years, and it is the same for psychological health and safety in the workplace. Implementing a psychological health and safety management system will take time, but when it is adapted as unconscious behavior, your workplace will be an organization that makes psychological health and safety their #1 priority. So next we'll cover the safety culture assessment. The safety culture assessment is a great place to start to understand the culture of your workplace. The safety culture assessment is a 12-statement to answer evidence-based survey developed and validated as the leading indicator of safety and health performance. Safe Work Manitoba has developed this survey in consultation with the Institute of Work and Health. It is designed to survey both workers and management and provides an overall picture of safety culture at your organization by calculating the survey scores and providing a number between 0 to 4. This overall number corresponds to the safety culture ladder we will see on the next slide, where 0 is indifferent and 4 is generative. So when we look at indifferent, it coincides with the do-nothing approach. An organization that receives this score does not value safety and health. Implementing a psychological health and safety management system into an organization with this type of culture would be difficult as they would not value psychological health and safety. Reactive is only taking action after an injury or an incident occurs. Proactive measures are not taken. When we look at calculative, this coincides with only complying with the government's definition of a safety program, the minimum standard, which is the Workplace Safety and Health Act and regulations. If a company is proactive or generative, this indicates that they are following all 6 indicators of a strong safety culture. Safety and health hazard concerns are addressed. Leaders demonstrate commitment to safety and health. Trust and respect permeate throughout the workplace. Each person within the workplace is personally invested in safety and health and held accountable. Work environment is inclusive, and finally, continuous learning. A company that demonstrates this type of culture is more likely to adopt a psychological health and safety management system into their organization, because safety and health is how they do business, and every organization should strive to get there. The Safety Culture Assessment is a service that is offered by SafeWork Manitoba. If you are interested in having a safety culture assessment conducted at your organization, you can reach out to SafeWork Manitoba for further information, or you can sign up for a safety culture workshop, which is offered once a month. Please see our website for additional information and to register. So before we move on to the conclusion of this webinar, let's briefly talk about why should workplaces in Manitoba strive for a strong safety culture. Well, a strong safety culture builds loyalty of workers, increases job satisfaction, improves workers' well-being, increases employee retention, attracts good employees, and ultimately, in conjunction with a good safety and health program, will reduce injuries. An organization can have the best safety and health program in the world, but if they have a poor culture, workers will not follow safe work procedures, they will not report hazards, or use the appropriate controls provided to them, and injuries will not be reduced. Safety culture and systems, meaning safety and health program, or in this case, a psychological health and safety management system, go hand in hand. You have to change the workplace culture around psychological health and safety in order for psychological health and safety management systems to succeed.
Thanks, Mike. That was a great review of all of the key components of the culture. And some of the key takeaways that we want to share with you today is really that these processes take time. It's a journey. And we really need to build your safety and psychological health and safety management system to really build out your safety culture. And implementation takes time. It takes time for it to develop. And what's really important is to look at really starting somewhere. And that somewhere can be really understanding the CSA standard, reviewing the CSA standard, understanding it. It's also about looking at building both of these systems together. So bringing them both together and using your assessment tools. There's guides, there's tools, there's resources. So really understanding and seeking out that information. It's also really about striving to achieve the dimensions. So Mike talked about the dimensions of building a strong safety culture, and really encompassing that is that continuous improvement, always trying to do more, do better, to really improve on those processes. So yesterday, I asked if you could go back to your workplaces and if you could do one thing. And today I ask you the same. What is one thing you're going to do when you get back to your workplace that can support building a psychologically healthy and safe workplace, building a strong safety culture? What is one thing that you can do? I encourage you, I challenge you to write it down and go back to your workplace and do something. You are a leader in this. Here's a list of all the resources we have used in building this webinar, and these are all great resources with an abundance of information. Notably, there's 2 toolkits that provide a great deal of information on the Safe Work website: the Psychological Health and Safety Toolkit and the Safety Culture Toolkit. We would also suggest Canadian Mental Health Association, the Mental Health Commission of Canada, Canada Life, and the Institute for Work and Health have great resources. And of course, the CSA standard providing the framework to developing a psychological health and safety management system. So that concludes our presentation on psychological health and safety and workplace safety culture. As we've heard today, safety and health is a responsibility of everyone in the workplace. If we all work together, we can help to build strong safety culture in our workplaces and reduce the stigma around psychological health and safety. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact Mike or I. Also, stay tuned for the next webinar in this series for Mental Health Week. Tomorrow, I will be presenting with Kim Keating, Manager of Return to Work Program Services at Workers' Compensation Board in Manitoba. Together, we will present information on the impact of psychological health and safety and return to work, and share principles of return to work that we should all be aware of. On behalf of Safe Work Manitoba, thank you for watching our virtual presentation. We hope you're able to take away some tools and knowledge to better understand psychological health and safety, as well as safety culture. We hope this will help to keep you, your coworkers, and your customers safe. In the coming days, you'll be able to review the complete recording of this webinar and share it with your colleagues. Please be sure to visit safemanitoba.com to view resources and to learn even more about keeping yourself and your workplaces psychologically healthy and safe. Check out the Psychological Health and Safety Toolkit and the Safety Culture Toolkit at safemanitoba.com. Thank you.